I watched the pre-budget speech by Rachel Reeves, and the entire time she did 3 things to make her speech more persuasive. These 3 things are framing and contrast, group identity, and storytelling. Between Rachel Reeves and Keir, it's like watching the boring twins paint a wall slightly different shades of white. It is truly painful. But while her delivery was wooden and robotic, the speech itself was clearly written by someone with at least a bit of sense, who was a bit more competent. So if you want to know how to lead a country into economic oblivion... Wait, no, not that. If you want to know how to increase your persuasive prowess and your speech skills, then this is the video for you. So whether you want that raise at work, close a deal, or just learn how political figures try to manipulate and control you, then these cheat codes will help you do just that. So without further ado, let's get into it. One of the first things that Rachel from Accounts does is control the narrative, or as I say, control the frame, or even set the frame. A frame is the internal definition a person creates out of a social interaction. Our society exists largely because of unspoken contracts between individuals. This is how we all get along. We get along by following social norms. It makes our lives easier by allowing more cognitive energy to be used on other, more important decisions. The way you view the world is a frame. The frame you have in social situations is comprised of your past, experiences, upbringing, beliefs, and self-image. Everyone views the world through frames all the time, and very few people are aware or even conscious of this throughout their day. What Reeves does is that she frequently frames current economic issues as inherited problems from the past government, contrasting them with her government's proactive, fair approach. This creates a clear before versus after dichotomy to justify her politics and build support. Let me give you the first example.
At the budget last year, I fixed the foundations, dealing with the aftermath of Liz Truss's disastrous mini-budget and the £22 billion black hole in the public finances left by the previous government.
Here, she frames the black hole as a legacy of incompetence, right? It's a contrast to what Truss apparently did for the very short... Yeah, she killed the Queen and she ruined the economy. That is what we call a scapegoat, ladies and gentlemen. She's positioning her own budget as a stabilising force that, fixed everything, or is in the process of fixing things. This is the first trick, because of course you're going to agree with her that the last government was awful. It was rubbish. And so knowing that this is the first part of her strategy, she's already forming tacit agreement with the watchers. Now, this allows Reeves into your mind. You're going to naturally go, yeah, the last government was shit, wasn't it? Because it was, right? So as you agree with one thing, you might agree with other things, and another, and another. And you give that tacit consent to start agreeing with everything. This is just one way in which frame can be used against you, and the power of frame. Because frame is a totally unconscious process. And people don't even realise or resist adopting someone else's frame in social settings. So these are exceptionally powerful tools which can be used against you. And I've said it time and time again, if you can shine a light on these psychological tools and techniques, they lose their power over you. As long as you're aware of them, they lose their power. They're either going to be used against you, or you can understand them and be inoculated against them. There is no neutral ground. You are either giving yourself an unfair advantage over everybody, or everybody has an unfair advantage over you. That's the situation with these cheat codes, and frame is one of the most powerful cheat codes that you can master. Now, there are 4 elements to a frame, and they are expectation, belief, perception, and definition. Now, what that means is that expectation is what's probably going to happen. Belief is what's probably true about this situation. Perception, what's true about this is. And definition is what is absolutely true. So a frame is made up of these 4 particular things. So I can talk about frame and frame control for a very long time. It's a very broad subject. Now, many books have been wrote about it. But for our purposes, all we need to understand is that every single social interaction that we're in consists of a frame of reference within that context of the conversation. So our expectation then, thinking about those 4 elements of frame, when we see a video of Rachel Reeves, is that she's probably going to try and convince us of something. Now, the belief, or what's probably true, is that she's going to raise taxes. And what is absolutely true is that this is a very unpopular and people won't like it. And what is 100% true, or the definition of what is absolutely true, is this, in this instance, she wants me to think in a particular way. And she's trying to persuade me to think in a particular way. Now, all of this is, of course, blindingly obvious. But many people don't take the time to really think through what is being said. Why is it being said? And what effect is that having on me, both emotionally and logically? Let's look at another example.
Prioritised over economic imperative.
Just quickly, I'm just finding the right place here for this video, and this little part here where she does this weird head wiggle. Jesus Christ, it's so robotic. Just watch. You don't need to listen to it. Just watch. This little head thing. Oh, God, it's like watching a robot try and figure out Shakespeare. It's like she's been taught, in order for you to resonate with the audience, you need to move your head in this particular way. And she sort of remembered it from her base of code, and she's sort of doing it like that. Oh, not nice, not good at all. Anyway, here's the clip.
The decision to pursue a policy of austerity after the financial crisis dealt a hammer blow to our economy, gutting our public services and severing the flows of investment that would have put our country on a path to recovery.
So austerity is framed negatively as the hammer blow that caused the long-term damage. And it's contrast implicitly with her emphasis on investment reform, which again is highlighting her superior strategy. So what she's doing here, what she understands, or at least what the scriptwriter understands, is our underlying assumptions are about her giving a speech. We know that if the Chancellor of the Exchequer is giving a speech before she delivers the budget, or statement of the budget, holy shit, she's going to do something pretty mental, pretty catastrophic here, that she has to prepare us in this particular way. So she's reframing what she's doing within that context. So the writer for the speech is well aware of what we're thinking. They wrote in that speech a variety of means to control the perception of these things. And that's why she's delivering it in the way she's delivering it. The final clip I want to show you on frame is where she doubles down.
Stabilising our public finances, making the tax and spending decisions to get debt down and to fund our public services sustainably, changing the fiscal rules to increase public investment by £120 billion over the course of this Parliament, and crowding in private investment too, for road and for rail.
You get the idea, right? She's contrasting the unstable past with tangible improvements under her leadership. She's framing all her actions as effective solutions. What you've seen here is just little tangible elements of frame and frame control. The next thing I want to talk to you about is group identity. Now, group identity is so powerful as a psychological cheat code. If you use inclusive language like we or our, and it references to these shared British values, it fosters a sense of collective identity, right, which aligns the audience with her government's mission. She's trying to convince you that this is some sort of joint effort. We're all in this together, guys. we can make this work, let's go. Bullshit, obviously.
My budget, led by this government's values of fairness and opportunity, and focused entirely on the priorities of the British people, protecting our NHS, reducing our national debt, and improving the cost of living.
Okay, so number one, I think you're already starting to see by now what I mean when I say the boring twins. The way she delivers all this is just, it's like verbally watching paint dry. There's just something about it that's unbelievably robotic. I could do an entirely separate video on her mannerisms of how she's delivering, but I worry that someone might see it and they'll start giving her advice, which I seriously don't want. But I might do one another day, who knows. But I've got enough here just talking about the sort of intangible things that they're doing. By invoking the British people and shared priorities like the NHS, she's building a group identity around national values. It's implying unity in facing challenges. When every person says we or our, what is happening is that they're trying to trigger what is called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are the things which make us feel empathy. It makes us feel connected to one another. So when we mention the words we or our, it's a reflex from when we evolved in small tribal groups. It was important for us to be well coordinated. If we wanted to survive and hunt well, we had to develop these mirror neurons so that we could coordinate together, which is why they're so effective at building this identity and can be used as a way to persuade, manipulate and control your thoughts and actions. So for example, let's say you want your housemate or your girlfriend to tidy the house with you. Well, you could say, I think we should tidy the house. You'll probably get some pushback. But instead, if you say, listen, we're the kind of people who keep a tidy house. Let's do it the next 15 minutes, let's tidy the house. Now what you're doing is that you're activating a shared identity as people who keep a tidy house. Tidy people. So you are activating those mirror neurons as you share that identity together. So you won't get any pushback, or you'll get very minimal pushback, unless of course they say no, I'm actually not clean, untidy, that isn't my identity, right? But it's very rare for a person to go, yeah, I'm a filthy animal, I don't like cleaning shit. Very, very rare that a person can be that honest with you, in which case you shouldn't be living with them, but hey ho. This is of course something that you can use in your own life in any way, shape or form that you like. Reeves of course is using this for her own good. And there's many more to this than just mirror neurons, much more to this than just mirror neurons. When we're looking at group identity, within that group, there's always a sacred object, or a sacred idea, or a sacred institution. For the UK, the holiest of holies is, of course, the sacred NHS. So when someone drops a sacred totem, just like what Rachel Reeves here has done, it is anchoring the thoughts and feelings associated with that sacred totem with what she's saying. So now you have to agree with what she's saying, or else you are an evil person who hates the sacred, holy NHS. It is extremely hard for people to break a taboo. It's like asking a mother to sell their child. It's just not going to happen, right? That's because sacred values light up within the same circuitry in our mind as perceived threats to our personal identity. It's the same level of threat. This is why people feel so strongly. This is why people felt so strongly during COVID. That's why British people went out and started banging pots and pans together every single night for a very long time. Because they felt that their personal identity was interwoven with the NHS. So whenever someone in politics drops the sacred totem, whether it's the NHS or the army or just something else, they're trying to get you to feel a certain way so that you feel like you are on their side. Which of course brings us quite neatly into the us versus them frame, or the us versus them dynamic. And she does this the most in two excerpts.
And in an uncertain world, we also face pressure.
Okay, she used the word we.
To increase our defence spending.
Our.
But it is right that we do that.
We.
Protecting ourselves from hostile actors and supporting our allies.
The repeated we and ourself creates this sense of national solidarity. We bond more aggressively against something than what we bond for something. It's much faster, it's much more stickier psychologically. So if we're bonding against something, this is why it's so important that if ever you're starting a political organisation, you want to set your sights on an enemy really clearly. I'm sure that it's either a rule of power or a rule of war, but it's important to always have an enemy. Always have someone that you can draw to and say, this person is our enemy, this person we need to make all of our focus on because they're going to try and get us. So this is called parasocial altruism, or it's a very academic way of saying in-group preference. The more you're able to associate with the group, the more you're able to then see anything outside the group as an enemy. Now, the second time she uses this is a little bit later.
There is nothing progressive about refusing to reform a system that is leaving 1 in 8 young people out of education or employment. So we have begun the job of creating a system that protects people who cannot work and empowers those who can.
So she's appealing to a progressive group identity using the we, to include the audience in these welfare reforms that protect and empower shared societal groups. What Rachel is doing here, whether she knows it or not, and honestly, I don't think she does, I think she's got a really great writer in her team, is she's being very specific with what the enemy is. Because the more specific you are with whatever external threat, whether it's the system or winter or Russia, or that weird guy down the road who keeps looking at your daughter funny, the greater the level of perceived threat that thing has, it creates a higher level of anxiety, which more often leads to action. Or in Rachel Reeves' case, it leads to agreement. You don't want to be against reforming a system which keeps children out of school and out of work, condemning them to a life of poverty, do you? And you certainly don't want to be the kind of person who forces John without any arms or legs to go to work. This is all part of the psychology, of the psychological dynamics that I showed you earlier. And you can see how all of this is laid on top of each other to further heighten the effect. But while she's been doing all of this, she's been doing something all the way through, and that's storytelling. Now, Reeves doesn't just list problems. She spins a full-blown saga of national decline, villainy, and a heroic turnaround in the form of a Labour Party. It's the same 3-act structure that's glued tribes around a campfire for 40,000 years. Crisis to struggle, struggle to salvation. And your brain is hardwired to binge it. So when we enter a story, we reduce our critical thinking faculties. And all the way through her speech, this is exactly what she's been doing. She's been telling a story, spinning a yarn on top of the other techniques and cheat codes that I've shown you. And she's trying to lower your critical thinking abilities so that what she says is what you accept. And you accept it at face value without any kind of further or deeper thought. Now, you can go through these clips again, or you can have a look at this video yourself, but she constructs a chronological story of cascading mistakes from austerity, instability, Brexit, pandemics, and she's creating a compelling tale of decline to explain the current issues, which of course sets Labour in the narrative as these great saviours for our economy and our country. So all of this combines together into a 3-part persuasive narrative designed to get you on side. It takes frame, identifying with the problems, and then agreeing with the story for the solution. So we've got frame, group identification, and story. Let me give you an example. The frame, black hole left by previous governments. So we've got a before and after dichotomy there, and that gets you nodding, because you agree. Can't disagree that the last government screwed us over. They just did. So of course you're going to agree with them. You start nodding. You start letting them in through tacit consent. You then identify, we protect the NHS. They bring in the sacred totem. and mirror neurons start firing, which means that if we disagree with that statement, it means that we now betrayed the sacred totem. We're betraying our group identity if we disagree. Giving more tacit consent. She's getting into your head even more. And finally, this is all put together with a story. The redemption arc, the emotional closure. It's all getting better, guys. It's all there. It's all there to reinforce this feeling. It's all there to try and get it so that you shut down your critical thinking faculties. So you just accept what's going on. So now, I'm left here thinking, why go through all this trouble? Give a speech, which frankly she didn't need to give, and then litter it with all of these techniques and tricks and cheat codes, all of which have the effect of getting you on her side, or at the very least, trying to diminish your critical thinking faculty. It's probably because the next budget is going to be absolutely horrific. Truly horrifying to behold. So when you see politicians use these kind of tricks in their speeches, look out for them. Spot them. Tell your friends and family that this is what they're doing. Because, and I'm going to keep repeating this, it's so important. The moment you shine a light on these techniques and these cheat codes, they lose power over you. And if they lose power over you, then it means that you can now control them yourself. There is no neutral ground. You can't just not know. If you don't know about them, then they're being used against you. If you do know about them, then you are protected from them. Not knowing means you're a victim. Whereas knowing now means you've got the barricade, the wall around you to prevent this manipulation from occurring. And I want everyone to be empowered. I want everybody to have an unfair advantage in every area of their life. Because if you don't have an unfair advantage, someone else certainly does. Look out for them. Spot these signs. Tell your friends and family this is what they're doing. This is how it works. And now you know. So do me, your family and yourselves a favour. Like, comment, share, subscribe, so that others can learn these secrets and these cheat codes, so that they can learn these things too, so that they can wake up and understand how these things work. Alright, thank you all. Until the next video, I'll see you soon. Take care, guys.